Hello and welcome back to the Adrian Project. Hello, thank you all for clicking on my video and choosing to watch it. It's very much appreciated. So, you've been on YouTube, you've seen all the modelling videos that have come up on there, you've been looking for a new hobby, but you don't know where to start. Well, hopefully with my next little series of videos that are coming along, I can help you begin your journey into the world of kit modelling. But where to start? Well, you don't have to go out and spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds. I know that's the knee-jerk reaction to any hobby that you start. You want to go out and you want to buy all the best gear, and you've seen everybody, and especially in the modelling world, they've all got these big compressors and airbrushes and all fancy studios and whatever. But to get into the hobby, you don't need any of that. And I'm going to help you along the way, because doing this the cheap way, you'll find if kit modelling is for you or not, and then it's going to save you a lot of money in the long run. So you're not going to be going out and buying stuff that you're not going to be using and eventually either throw away or you try and sell for less than a third of what you bought it for. So why would you do kit modelling to begin with? Well, first and foremost, it's a fantastic hobby. It's not the hobby that it was in the 70s. In the 70s, it was when we were all growing up, you sort of slapped the kit together, painted it, and by the end of the day, it was in a smouldering mass at the bottom of the garden because you'd shot it down and decided to set fire to it. Those days are long gone. It's much more of a grown-up hobby. There are still entry levels for whatever age, but it's there's more and more adults that do modelling now than they ever did. So another thing, you do learn some life lessons with this. Now you're going to be saying, well, what life lessons am I going to be learning slapping together a Spitfire? Well, you think back, that last time you had a bit of flat pack furniture and you couldn't follow the instructions. That's because you're not used to following instructions. And this is what you'll be getting in your modelling kit, a set of instructions you have to follow. Of course, the more and more you get into the hobby, you learn about all different kinds of paints, all different kinds of thinners, painting techniques, all different kinds of glues that you can buy, because it's not just one glue suits all in this hobby. And you learn all these along the way. Also, it has been proven to help people with stress. It's helped people that's had, especially in the armed forces, who are recovering from injuries and PTSD, I think it's called, and it has been shown to be very therapeutic as well. So there's just a few reasons why you should get into the modelling. Okay, so where to start? A starter set. Great way of dipping your toe into the hobby. This will cost you less than £10. And what we're going to do with this one, this is the Airfix Supermarine Spitfire Mk1a. Everybody's heard of a Spitfire. Any genre you can think of, there's probably a model for it. There's airplanes, there's tanks, ships, civil aviation, sci-fi, even Game of Thrones have got models to go along with those. You think of anything and there's probably some firm somewhere that's made a model to go with it. But for now, you're starting off, you don't know if you're going to like the hobby or not, so you go out and you buy yourself a starter set. So in the next section, we're going to have a look through at using this kit as an example, and I'm going to show you what you get inside your box and what you get for your money. Right, okay, so if you can follow me doing this series of videos and you go out and buy this starter set, fantastic, it's always available. This is, if you can't find this or you want to do something else, you can just use this as a guide. So there we go. So there we go. It's the Airfix Supermarine Spitfire Mk1a. This is in 1/72 scale. In the bottom corner there, it'll give you a skill level 1. That's what you need to be looking for if you've never done a model before and you're just tipping your toe into the hobby. Like I say, you need a skill level 1. Okay, so what do we get in this set? You get the model, all the parts inside the box. On the outside, we've got 4 pots of acrylic paint, a tube of glue, and a paintbrush. Now, on the back of the box is where you'll find your painting instructions and how to paint your Spitfire up. You've got these little icons down here with the numbers in, all correspond with the pots of paint that you've got. So all the paints that you're going to be using on this kit have come with a starter set already. Also, you can see where the decal placements are on your aircraft as well. There's not too many of them, but we'll come to decals later on in the video. So like I say, you get 4 pots of paint. So let's have a look at those. And it says now the paints that you get with Airfix kits are by a company called Humboldt. Just to let you know that. And they are what we call acrylic paints. Now acrylic paints are water based. So as we can see, you've got on the top of the pot a little number. This is a number 90. That corresponds with the colour on the back there. So number 90 on here with some kind of sky blue colour, I think. I'm not too sure. Looking by what it says on here, yeah, it's underneath, so it's going to be like a sky colour, even though it looks green in the pot. When you mix it up, it will blend into that sky colour on the bottom. You've got your brown, you've got your green, and you've got your black. Also, you get a little tube of poly cement. Now, this cement is made of plastic only because what this cement does, it's called, you may hear it be called a hot glue. That doesn't mean that you have to heat it up or it burns your fingers when you get it out. What this glue does is melt the plastic. So when you put the 2 parts together, the glue melts the plastic, and then when it sets, it's sort of, you've got the 2 parts are like fused together. So that's there. Also, you get this nice little brush. The end on it is solid at the moment, but when you get it wet, it will soften up. So there we go. When I do this model, I am going to be using everything that comes in the kit only. I'm not going to be using any other special parts, so we can see what kind of finish we can get on the model. So there's all your paints and your glue and your paintbrush. So let's have a look at the kit inside. So there we go. Let's have a look what we get in. Straight away, take it out there, just check nothing else in it. Don't throw the box away because, like I say, you've got your painting guide and your decals instructions on the back. So you keep that. So as you can see, you get a bag with all the parts. Get a set of decals. Oops, wrong way up. They're the markings. for your aircraft, and then you've got your set of instructions. So let's have a look at the instructions first, shall we? So as we can see on the front, you've got a little plotted history of the aircraft going to be doing. It's all in different languages. Okay, so we'll have a look inside. As we can see, your instructions are set out into different sections. On this model kit, we have got 7 sections to follow. Each section will show you how to put together all the various parts, and of course you follow the instructions in order until you've come to the final model. Now, as you see on here, you've got little icons that tell you different bits of information. Now, there is a key. Also on the back of the instructions tell you what each little icon means. You've got weight there. It tells you which parts that you put glue on, which parts you don't put glue on. Little question mark icon is if you've got a choice, doing one version or another, and so on. Just read these little icons there and they tell you what to do. The numbers in the circles give you the number of the part on the sprue. The numbers that are freestanding, that are not in circles, are little paint guides. So in this section where we're doing the cockpit, it tells you which paint to use on which part. Now when you come in to doing interior detail, it's always best to paint the parts before we put them together, and a lot of times because it makes it that bit easier, and it makes it a lot bit cleaner as well. So there we go. So there your set of instructions that you have to follow. Of course, you've got these little chaps now. Now these are called decals. These are your markings for your model. Now these aren't peel off stickers. These are what they call water slide. So when you come in to put these onto your model, we'll be soaking them in some warm water for a few seconds. Then you remove them, put them on some tissue until the decal is free to move about, and then you can slide it onto your model. And when you've got it in place, you let it dry, and when it dries, it set itself onto the part that you placed it on. So we'll be dealing with those later in the series. Okay, so here's your bag of parts. Now what you have to bear in mind with these parts as well, that sometimes in transit little parts, little bits do break off the sprue, so be aware that there may be some little parts floating around in the bag, and you don't want to be losing them. So okay, let's have a look at the parts inside. So as we can see on this kit, the model comes on 2 sprues. Now sprue is the frame that the model kit comes on. Okay, and as you can see on this sprue, you've got your 2 fuselage halves. Sorry, I've been drinking. Got a propeller there, wheels there, other little bits for the cockpit. Now as you can see, hopefully I can zoom in close enough. On these little tabs there, you've got a number that corresponds with the part. Also on the top, you may get a little letter there that says little A or B. That is to correspond with the name of the sprue, and you just follow the instructions so you know which sprue the part that you're looking for is on. As you can see, got some nice detailing on the inside of it. on this one there. Again, oops, get it right way around. Again, you've got your little tab there with your part number on. Just familiarise yourself with the parts and the part numbers, and you can't go wrong. So there you go. And on this build as well, you get a little chap there, little pilot. So they are all your parts. So, oh, I nearly forgot that. Sorry, nearly overlooked that. These are your clear parts. These are in a separate bag because these parts get easily scratched if you're not careful. That is for your glass, your cockpit cover. There we go. Always good to keep it separate from the other parts, like I say, because you don't want them rubbing and scratching your glass, because that is a bugger to get out. Right, so that's all the contents that you get in the box. So you've got all your parts, you've got your decals, you've got your glue, you've got your paints. So what else are you going to need? Well, you're going to need a few tools, but you don't have to go out and buy specialist tools. You can already use what you have around the house. So let's have a look what you're going to need there. Right, so you bought your starter kit and you're thinking, I haven't got any of the tools that they use on the videos. Well, it's your first dip into the modelling world. You don't know if you're going to like the hobby or not, so you're not going to be forking out mega bucks on specialist cutters or, like I say, airbrushes, anything like that. So you can just use what you've got around the house. Now, a lot of these videos, you see the model maker using a modelling mat. That's the one with all the little squares and dooblies on. But for now, you don't need that. All you need, good old newspaper. This will protect the surface that you're working on from spillages of paint, spillages of glue. It'll also protect it when you're cutting parts out if you need to as well. So just to be an old newspaper will do. That will be your cutting mat, and the mat that you work on. You might say, well, what do I cut? Cut the pieces off with a sprue. Now, when you're very first starting, you will be tempted just to wobble the pieces off and break them off, but there are a lot of really fine pieces on here, especially there you've got the control yoke there. That is a really thin piece of plastic, and if you're just breaking them off like that, you're just going to end up snapping that off. So what you need is either a small pair of scissors like that, just a normal pair of scissors, just make sure they're sharp, or if you've got one, just your common garden retractable hobby knife. I think everybody's got one of these in the drawer somewhere. And when it comes to doing really small pieces like that, what you do, you use a fresh blade, put it down as flat as you can, and then say let the blade do the work. Don't press on, just keep going backwards and forwards until you've released the part with that. So like I say, you see many modelers and they've got these cutters which are brilliant, they're fantastic. If you've got a pair of those, all the better. But for now, you're just starting, you're just tipping your toe in, see if you like it. So we're just using what we've got around the house. Of course, when you've cut the part off, you're going to have little nubs on it that aren't supposed to be there. Now they can either just look messy because they're on the outside of a part, but they can also stop two pieces of the model going together properly like they should do, so they need to be cut down. Now, if you're okay with a knife, if you hold it flat, let me just get the sprue for this. If you're going to be cutting the piece off, you hold it flat and go along until you've taken the nub off. Or what I would suggest is using either sandpaper, which you should have knocking around if you do a bit of DIY or decorating or other, or probably your wife, partner, girlfriend, or even yourself. I've got these really cheap nail file sticks. I got a pack of these from my local boys for 39p. They've got, it's rough on one side, it's a bit more not as rough on the other, and you can use those for getting rid of your nubs and any little bits that you don't need. So that's for the construction as well. Just nip into the old laundry basket and buy pegs, because when you come to, like, say you're gluing together the two fuselage halves, you're going to need to have them being held together while the glue dries. So you just pop a couple of the old spring pegs on like that. You may be tempted to use sellotape to hold them together. I wouldn't advise that at all, because the glue will make a mess of your model. You may see modelers online using a tape that is a specialist modeling tape. The tape's not as tacky, and especially on your clear parts, when we come around to that part and we talk about masking and whatever, you don't use normal tape on your clear parts, because it does make a mess of them. Trust me, I know, I've done it myself. Of course, along with clothes pegs, you can use rubber bands as well. Rubber bands are good for holding fuselage halves together and other parts. So there you go, all the part bits and bobs, all the tools that you need to put the kit together that you've already got around the house, so you don't have to go out and buy specialist tools at all. Just use what you've got around the house. So that's introduced you to your model kit, starter set, what you've got in it, all your bits and bobs. So that'll be it for part one. In part two, we're going to be looking at starting the construction. Little few bits of do's and don'ts on there, and so like I say, if you go out and buy this kit, you can build it as we go along, or like I say, if you can't get that one, and but you can get a different starter set, then just use this as a guide. Like I said, this series of videos is for total beginners, if you've never made a model before. So hopefully this will be helping you on your way to the long journey that you'll have with the most brilliant hobby I can think of. So there we go. And that's the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed that one. Please remember, if you haven't done so already, to subscribe to my channel. It'd be very much appreciated. And also, don't forget to ring that little notification bell. Also, if you've got Facebook, you can follow me at Adrian Bower Project. And if you've got a Twitter account, you can follow me at Project Bower. So, with all that in mind, I'd like to thank you all again for watching, and here's to seeing you all again on the next episode of the Adrian Bower Project.